All right, we'll get started here in just about 15 seconds. All right. Hey, Bo Decker, a lot of praise and shout out to one of our interns, Jalen Johnson. We'll get this little stuff on here. One of our interns produced this. UNT student studying journalism up there at the Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.
Yeah, we can't say enough about our interns. We've got 3 interns that have helped us this year. Samantha Walsh, Reagan Hubbard, and Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson actually student produced this for us. That's pretty cool stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Gave me hype.
Yeah. He actually labeled it Hype Beast. Hype Beast is the title of that song.
There you go.
I wonder if
I'm ready to run through a wall. I don't know about you.
I think Ryan wants to play that before they come out of the tunnel this weekend.
Yeah. They're sure to win if that happens.
All right. Well, hey, everyone. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Episode 17 of the DenCoGridiron Show. If you're just now tuning in or watching this on the replay, make sure you comment. We'll try to answer your comments and questions live on the air. You'll definitely want to stay tuned tonight. We've got head coach Dave Henigan from the Denton Raiders joining us here just shortly, probably at about the 8:12 mark. And
wow, that's precise.
Yeah, it's taken me about 17 weeks to kind of tighten things up a little bit, Bo Decker, but constant, never-ending improvement every week. So, and as always, it's a pleasure to be joined by the football prognosticator, Texas high school football guru, and still award-winning sports writer, Adam Bodecker.
Always. I will always be that.
Yeah.
Of all those things, that's the one thing that I will never lose, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
You received that award and
many awards.
Hopefully they're hanging in your office at home, and you share those with. At some point, your daughter will see those, and she'll be proud of Papa.
There you go. Hey, I'd like that. Give her something to be proud of.
Well, hey, it's kind of a bittersweet time of year. Week 17 means not all our teams are still alive in the Texas high school football playoff scene. Matter of fact, just one of 9 schools is still playing for a state title. And we've got head coach Dave Henigan on with us tonight. But, it's been a great season. A lot of teams have done well. And we just want to give a shout out to all our 9 area high schools for their efforts this year and being fans of the show. And we've enjoyed
and for their cooperation with us, too. I mean, it's been awesome having all the schools be into it, all the coaches. So thanks to all those guys.
Hey, we've got Michael Callaway, Ryan Raider fan. Hey, newspaper Steve. Actually, he must have joined before I announced the name of that song. He's calling it Piper's Jam. Steve, I cannot take credit for that song. It is not my production, but appreciate that. Newspaper Steve on board with us. Welcome to the broadcast. Again, guys, if you can share the stream out to your friends. One thing I'm going to do early on here, Adam, let's see if I can bring it up. If you want to go ahead, I'm going to put you on solo. I'll try to bring up one of our giveaways.
All right.
You're on solo right now.
All right. Hi, everybody. What are we giving away tonight?
Well,
I've been teasing giveaways on Twitter all day, so we better give something away. There's going to be some disappointed people out there.
Yeah, right here, if you guys will, we're going to try something. We try to be a technology-savvy show. So I'm going to post something in the comments. It's a shortened link to our giveaway. We're giving away a couple hats, and everybody that enters is going to win something tonight, Bo Decker. So let's see. Enter. I'm just going to type in enter here by clicking on the link. And Newspaper Steve, I know you'll try it out. So Newspaper Steve, if you'll test this link for us, we'd appreciate it. Boom. I think this should work. Okay, it's in the comments, folks. If you just click on that when you get a chance, I'll bring it up here. and see how that works for you. We're going to send you out a message through Facebook, and we're going to announce the winners actually next week, Bodecker, so we can try to get our guests out of here on time so he can get home and review game film and have some dinner with his family. How about that?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, here's the link.
Appreciate that too.
So there's a link. We've got it posted. It's in the comment section. And I know we've got an exciting show having Coach Henigan on with us, talking Ryan Raider football. But we want to talk a little bit about, some of the games from last week. I know you were down at Argyle, that Argyle-Stephenville game, as well as our own Samantha Walsh was down there, down in Mansfield, Texas. And a heartbreaking loss for the Argyle Eagles, a hard-fought battle. They come up a little short, 31-28. What were your thoughts of that game there, Adam?
Yeah, it was a shocker. I don't think many people picked Stephenville to win that game. Stephenville's a traditionally strong, proud program, but there hasn't been a more, year by year traditionally strong powerhouse in the area. There hasn't been one more than Argyle in the past 6-7 years. So to see them go down for the second year in a row in the third round was pretty surprising. And it was heartbreaking how it happened because Stephenville really controlled the game for the whole first half, and Argyle was lucky to be where they were at halftime, but came out in the third quarter and looked a lot better. They never had the lead in the game. They trailed the whole game, but they did get a chance to get the ball back to try to go win it with about 4 minutes left and actually muffed a punt, so it looked like it was over. But then they ended up getting the ball back with around a minute left, had to go, I think, 80 yards, had no timeouts, and they did it. They got down to the 12-yard line and kicked a 25-yard field goal that would have tied it to send it to overtime, and they missed it. So it was pretty crushing defeat. But
heartbreaker. We've talked about it before on the show. That whole community, since it's the only high school in that school district, the whole community rallies around it. It's a true Friday Night Lights type environment, and the whole community, they rise and fall with some of those games. And we had Coach Rogers on last week, and what a great leader for their program, and just a shout out for the Argyle Eagles and a great season for their team and coaching staff.
When we had George Dunham on the show at Shoal Creek, of course, the great George Dunham from The Ticket, he talked about how when the season was over, he was going to tell a really special story that he'd been waiting to tell about his sons. And I know he didn't want to be telling it this soon, but I know he said on the radio yesterday that he's going to tell that story at 8:15 tomorrow on The Ticket. Oh, wow. So you should tune into that. And, hear the story. I'm sure it's a pretty good one. Like I said, I know he didn't want to be telling it this early, but it's coming tomorrow at 8:15 in the morning. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be tuning in for that. Again, George Dunham on The Ticket at 8:15 a.m. tomorrow, talking about Argyle football. Next up, we'll get some more insight from this one from Coach Henigan here in just a little bit. But Ryan at Lubbock, Monterey, we were both up at C.H. Collins. Ryan just got out to an early lead. Their offensive powerhouse led by Spencer Sanders. I think they brought in they gave those guys a rest, I think, most of the fourth quarter, I believe.
Last year, this was a rematch of last year's third-round game, and last year it didn't go like that at all. Ryan got off to a slow start. Monterey played really well, and it was I think a 6-point game, or it was either a 6-point game with 3 minutes left or a 3-point game with 6 minutes left. I'm sure the guy sitting next to you could clarify that, but it was a really close game in the end, and Ryan was able to score a couple of late touchdowns and make the score look a little more convincing than the actual game was. But to go out and get up 28-0 on Monterey before Monterey could even really blink, by that point you knew it was over. With an offense like Ryan has, they're not going to be able to. Monterey wasn't going to be able to claw back to that lead. So it was an impressive performance.
Yeah, and Bodecker, that's a great segue. Before I bring up Coach Dave Henigan, we do want to let folks know our show is presented by Shoal Creek Tavern and Burf's Bar and Grill. So let's give those guys a quick shout out. And I took my family down to Shoal Creek on Saturday night, man. Had a great meal. The place was really hopping, college. I had the beef tenderloin salad, so I was trying to eat a little healthier.
All right.
But everybody else had plenty of food. There's their appetizer. I guess I blew it with the appetizer. I had some type of Shoal Creek bread. It was really phenomenal as well.
Everything there is delicious.
Yeah. So thanks to those guys for really supporting the show. Both First Grill and Tavern, Shoal Creek Tavern. They're both down there at 407 and $24.99 at 407 is Shoal Creek Tavern, and right down the road is First Grill and Tavern. So, hey, with that, Bo Decker, I think let's go ahead and just bring on head coach Dave Henigan. It's not beating around the bush. Just bring him on.
Let's do it.
And here he is, Coach Dave Henigan from the Denton Ryan Raiders. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
It's phenomenal that a head coach this time of year, I know you got a lot of game planning and prepping going on, to take time out of your day to come talk, to the audience, share your insight to the Denton Ryan program and to talk to, Bo Decker and myself about what's happening at Denton Ryan High School. And, back to Saturday's game, we were just talking about it before you came on. You guys were coasting pretty well early on. It looks like all your offensive weapons were doing, operating on all 8 cylinders. Defense was strong. You were pitching a shutout. What else can you tell us about the performance that your team had there Saturday?
Well, honestly, I thought it was our most complete performance so far this year, as in all phases. Struggled in the kickoff team a little bit, but that game a year ago was a 3-point game, 24-21 with just over 6 minutes left in the ball game, and we scored twice late to put it out of reach. But we talked all week about what kind of game it was going to be, and we really wanted to start fast and try to see if we could destroy their hope early in the game. And we were really hitting on all cylinders offensively, and getting some stops on defense. And then the next thing you look up is 21-0. Well, it's hard to come back sometimes when you're down that much. Yeah,
I noticed, just looking at their body language, I was down on the field for most of that, and the body language of your opposition was they looked beaten down early on, and that's really what you want as a head coach.
Yeah, and we actually talked about that to the kids, and we talked about that. Honestly, that's one of the ways we structure our program. They looked tired at the beginning, and maybe that was because they had to travel, because I won 2 flips.
Yeah,
and got them at C.H. Collins, but they looked tired, and our kids didn't. And I think that some of that goes back to the way we practice all year long, and we try to keep our kids fresh, and we try to get out there, get our work done, and then get them off. We're not going to be out there for 3 hours, 2 hours, and so I think our kids look fresh.
Hey, Jamie Calloway joins us. She says, "Hey, Coach Hen, go Raiders," and hashtag it's what we do. I've noticed that following you on Twitter this year, that hashtag it's what we do. Bo Decker, I know you've not been following the Ryan Raiders quite as closely as in years past, but man, what do you have for Coach Henigan here tonight?
Well, first off, I noticed you said something about the coin flip. I do know that's been a bit of a bugaboo for you over the years. How impressed with yourself were you to win 2 coin flips for one game? That's rare for you, right?
I'm telling you, yeah. In 2015, it became somewhat a joke. Our last year in 6A, that when we went to the quarterfinals, I couldn't win a flip ever. And as a matter of fact, at the banquet, the kids gave me a 2-sided coin as a gift.
That's funny.
It was just well known that I couldn't win a flip. So I went ahead and said, "What the heck with it? Well, I'm going to try and win 2 against Monterey." No, we just didn't feel like we wanted to go to Abilene. We wanted to take a chance and just lucked out, and to have another opportunity to play at home was huge. That's the 9th time we played at C.H. Collins this year, which is unheard of in one season. So it was good.
I don't think your first team offense was ever stopped in that game. If you can maybe correct me, it might have been once, but I don't think they were. Your defense kind of flew under the radar a little bit, though, with a standout performance against an offense that has some pretty nice playmakers in Monterey. How have they done this year, just with entering the season being the question mark they were on defense, with 9 or 10 new starters? How do you feel they've responded to that doubt that some people had coming into the year?
Well, there's nobody that had any doubt inside of our field house. I promise you that. We lost a lot of really good players. Obviously, we lost 5 3-year starters last year. 3 of them Division I players, and so we lost a good core of kids. So I don't think anyone would dispute that. But our kids had a lot of success defensively on the sub varsity that were coming up. They just hadn't played. And, the first game of the year, you could tell they hadn't played. We played a Lancaster team that's very talented and plays with great tempo and pace. And we gave up a lot of points. But, somebody asked me today, what's the biggest improvement in your team? And there's no question. It's the defense from the start of the year to week 13. We've always played good defense at Ryan High School. So it's not a surprise to most of us. But I'm real proud of the way those kids are playing. They're going to have to play even better this week because we've got a big challenge coming.
About your defense, the Monterey coach told me after the game that one thing that really kind of threw him off and shocked him a little bit was how much speed y'all had as a team, especially on defense. I think he knew that your skill guys on offense had speed, but I think the speed on defense surprised him a little bit. Is that something that you think this year's defense might have an edge on in last year's defense? As dominant as that unit was, do you think this year's defense maybe could have a little more speed than last year?
No, I don't think it. I know it. I mean, we're faster this year than we were a year ago, without question. We're not as big. And when you combine that speed with the way we play, and we try to keep it as simple as we can while being sound, to allow our kids to fly around and use that speed to the very best of their ability. So it is a fast defense, and what we see on film is a lot of our guys surrounding the football. And when that happens, good things are going to happen.
Obviously you coach to your personnel. And I know you're not the defensive guy, but how have things changed schematically this year with having the speedier defense versus the bigger, more just physically dominant guys you had last year?
Well, last year we stayed. We were a little more base in a lot of instances because we had guys up front that could still wreak havoc, or maybe we defended the run with 5 guys, and this year we need to devote more guys to the box. This year we're moving our front more, slanting, stunting, playing rush games, those sorts of things to utilize their speed. And then sometimes we're devoting more guys to the box and playing more man coverage than we did a year ago to get pressure. And so it's just different. And then, you have to adapt to what your kids can do. And I think our defensive staff, Shane Tollison and those guys have done a great job of that. And it's really indicative when you watch our kids play.
As everyone might know, this is your 3rd straight year of making it to at least the regional final. One of those being in 6A. Of course, you ran into Allen and gave them a game for a good while before eventually losing to them. But, the 3rd straight year you've made to this point with an unbeaten record. You had some expected struggles there in your first year, and then it didn't help. I'm sure that Spencer got hurt.
No.
But you had that playoff streak snapped, but you've hit the ground running ever since, and obviously you had a lot of success. I mean, what do you attribute to this run y'all are on over these past 3 years?
Well, I mean, number one, we have great tradition, and we have great support at Ryan, and it's a storied program. And then number two, I think we have a really good coaching staff. A lot of those guys, or at least a portion of them were there when Coach Florence was still the head coach. And then some of them have come in with me, and we've kind of meshed, and it's a really good coaching staff. And then obviously we have really talented kids. I mean, you can't win and go on the run that we've been on the last 3 years where you're undefeated 3 years in a row and you're in state quarterfinals at a minimum 3 years in a row without having talented players. And so certainly that's a big part of it.
Moving forward to this weekend, y'all's game, I mean, it has to be one of the most anticipated games in the state this weekend with, if for nothing else, just the quarterback matchup. You got Spencer Sanders on one side and Quay Gray on the other, who's putting up outrageous numbers out in West Texas. We all know what Spencer is, but what can we expect to see from Gray and from what you've seen?
when you look at them offensively, not necessarily from a scheme standpoint, but from a personnel standpoint, they look a lot like us offensively. Mm-hmm. They have two outside receivers that are, great players. They have two inside receivers that are great players. The quarterback is a great player. The running back is a great player. And so it's very similar to us, I think. But the quarterback there, I mean, he can really spin it. I mean, he's a guy thrown for 4,000 yards 2 years in a row, 4,000 plus 2 years in a row, and you have to be really good to do that. And he can pull it down and run with it. They don't do a lot of called quarterback runs for him other than the quarterback draw, but he is capable of pulling it down and running with it. They want to drop back and throw it, and they're kind of an air raid type offense, and so. He's accurate. He gets it out quick. Nobody gets any hits on him, and so it's they're hard to defend without question.
Just comparing numbers a little bit, like you said, he's, I was looking, he's over 4,000 yards now, 56 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Spencer is right around 3,300 yards, 47 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 1,000 yards rushing. And what a lot of people don't realize is that I think you could probably count, I would guess maybe on 2 fingers how many times Spencer's played in the fourth quarter this year. It hasn't been too much, but when you saw that result last week with Coronado and Colleyville Heritage, I'm sure there's been weeks where y'all could have easily put up 80 on somebody and haven't, but to see them put up 80 points on Heritage, who gave up 38 points to Aledo, 14 points to Euless Trinity. I don't think anybody saw – everybody thought that game would be a shootout, but I don't think anybody saw that. Did that kind of make you open your eyes a little bit when you saw 80 points on the scoreboard?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's stuff going around Twitter where it's me, like the Urban Meyer – I'm Urban Meyer walking out of the press conference or something. I got to go get ready for Coronado, which is true. Yeah. And I put it this way: a year ago, we spent the night in Abilene after we played Monterey and stayed to scout Colleyville and Coronado. Mm-hmm. And we looked at each other a year ago and kind of said, "I think I'd rather play Colleyville." And so we knew they were good a year ago, and all those guys are back. So we know they're good, but to have 80 points out there is almost unheard of, particularly in a playoff game against an 11-1 Colleyville Heritage football team. So they definitely have our attention, without a doubt. They would have had it regardless, but that even more so.
Right. This is kind of the sad question, but are you counting down the days like in a negative way, like we all are, that your days with Spencer Sanders as a high school football player are becoming more and more limited? Is that something you thought about at all, that it's not only him, but that whole class, but specifically him?
No, not really. I mean, that's something I think you do as a coach after the fact, after the season's over, when you get an opportunity to reflect. It's been his deal is so unique. I mean, this is his 51st start.
Right.
I think 50.
Very rare.
And, this just doesn't happen. And then Gabe Butowski and those guys are 42nd or 43rd start. And, so it is definitely a unique situation. But, no, we're just counting the days down to the next game, and then hopefully we have an opportunity to play another one after that.
You've been coaching for a long time, other places before you were the head coach at Ryan. What has this senior class meant to you, just for the sheer fact that they were freshmen when you came in? Spencer was your starting quarterback in 6A as a freshman, which is super rare. You don't hear about that very often at all. Does this group of kids hold a special place in your heart?
Oh, definitely. I mean, they, when I got here, they were actually in the 8th grade. So I started to it was the spring of, I got hired in February. And so it was the spring of their 8th grade year. And the first day on the job, I went to Strickland Middle School and met Spencer, because I had been told that, look, there's a guy coming. and later on that afternoon, I went to Betty Myers and met Gabe and Towski and Jordan Rucker and all those kids. So that was the first day on the job. Mm-hmm. And so, and then to see the run that the core of that group has had in the last 3 years, and from 2000 to 2004, Ryan went to 4 straight state championships, and that's the best run in the history of the school. But this one to be whatever 27-2 in the last 2 years, and then 13-0 right now. So what is that? That's 40-2 the last 3 years. That bunch is. I mean, that's pretty
solid.
So, and not just the win part, but the winning. Obviously, the winning is fun. The winning is important. But those are good kids. They're hard workers, and they're going to leave a legacy moving forward after they get out of here. So yeah, they definitely are special to me.
Sometimes games billed as shootouts end up being, a 28-21 game, which was a lot like y'all's game against Frisco Lone Star earlier this year. That game was billed as being, two top offenses in the area, and it was a defensive slugfest. But for some reason, this game just feels like it's destined to be a shootout. Is it one of those games that could just literally be decided by whoever has the ball last? I mean, in games like that, are you kind of actually thinking about that strategy-wise, or are you just trying to do the best you can on every given play and worry about that later?
Well, you got to be prepared for any type of game that, as the game progresses, if it turns into that type of game. But I mean, that's I agree with that. I think a lot of times people think there's going to be shootouts. It ends up being a little more low scoring than people think it is coming in. But who knows? I mean, the bottom line is, and Coach Tollison was talking about this today. If we win 81-80, or if we win 7-6, we're all going to be happy. So
counts the same.
You just you got a battle. It's going to be one of those, our theme for the week is grit, because we think you're going to have that grit and that toughness to pull it out at the end, whether it's we have the ball last or we have to get a defensive stand or whatever.
Looking back at last year, I don't know a real nice way of saying it, but I know what everybody knows, that y'all's district is not the most competitive slate of games for y'all. It hasn't been for a couple of years. You've made up for that by scheduling really good non-district games. And last year, correct me if I'm wrong, but you trailed in, I think, all but one of those at halftime. Ended up coming back and you were undefeated, obviously. But, this year, that really wasn't the case. I mean, the Lancaster game was sort of tied. It was a high-scoring game. Yeah. Really, that Frisco Lone Star game has really been the only close game y'all have had all year. Is there any concern with that, with not having many close games when you get into this deep into the playoffs, and that the deeper you go, the more likely you are to be playing in, one-possession games going down to the wire?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you want to when we coming into the season a year ago, you're right. Lancaster, Wiley, East End, Mesquite Poteet, last year we were down at halftime. And we felt, honestly, coming into the year, it was going to be the same. But against Lone Star a year ago, we were up at halftime.
Right.
A couple scores, I think. And coming into the year this year, we thought we'd have similar type non-district. And the Lancaster game was close. Even though it was a 17-point win, it really was a back-and-forth type of deal. The whole game. I mean, we had to keep scoring to stay out in front. But yeah, the only other really, really tight ball game has been Lone Star, and that's definitely a concern. I mean, we talk about it all the time, but it is what it is. I mean, it's our kids. Our kids know. Our kids have been. The vast majority of our kids have been in a lot of big games. They know what it takes to win playoff games. They've been in big environments. They understand that it's not going to be like that. Yeah, I mean, it obviously does concern you, but it is what it is.
Talking a little bit about next year, just because it's timely. Today the UIL came out with their new their new cutoffs for the classifications. They released all the schools' enrollment figures. Y'all are 2,044 and a half, which I know confuses a lot of people, and you always hear, what do you mean a half? But basically,
I don't know the answer to that. So
it's something to do with kids that go to school for a half day and work the rest of the day, something like that. But anyway, y'all are going to be obviously one of the bigger 5A Division I schools again. But how do you think that new 5A split is going to affect things for not only y'all, but some other teams, some of the smaller 5A schools, or, what's it going to do for y'all as far as just your district is obviously not going to be the same that it has been for a long time. Yeah. Is that going to be kind of nice to get some new blood in there and kind of, see some new opponents? And
yeah, I mean, it's always good to change it up a little bit. For us, district-wise, I think it's probably going to make our district a little more competitive, honestly. I mean, because you're playing schools that are possibly former 6A schools that just dropped, like Hollyville or Grapevine, or somebody like that, or some schools that are more similar in size. So for us in the district season, I think it may make it a little more competitive. In the playoffs, assuming we're in Region 1, which is not a guarantee, but most of the time we're in Region 1.
Yeah,
it won't really change our playoff road much at all. It'll be similar to what it's been this year and last year as far as which teams are in Region 1. So I don't know that playoff-wise it makes a huge difference, but I think district-wise it'll probably be a little bit more competitive. For the smaller schools, the Division II schools, Braswell, Lake Dallas, that bunch, it's probably going to even out the playing field a little bit, but I think there's probably a misconception just because you're playing schools that are more your size. But I think there's probably a little bit of a misconception that, we're going to go Division II, so we're just going to go beat everybody. There's going to be a lot of really good teams in Division II.
There's good teams there too. Yeah.
It'll definitely it's going to impact a lot of the area schools. I don't have any doubt, but I don't know how much.
Yeah, I saw today Lake Dallas was 111 kids over the 4A cutoff. That's just amazing to me. They've been so close to being 4A for so long.
Wow.
And, they still find a way to compete in 5A. But, I guess my last question before we get into the fun is, just give me a couple of, key points about this weekend's game. I mean, what do y'all have to do to move on and get back to the state semifinal again? What do you think is going to have to go your way this weekend?
Well, I mean, we talked to the kids about a lot of things, but the number one thing is it's always about the ball. It's about taking care of the football, and it's about creating turnovers. And anytime you get into the playoffs and you get into December football, state quarterfinals, it's going to come down to turnovers in a lot of cases. Second thing is, we got to control the line of scrimmage. Number 3's uniform doesn't need to be getting dirty. We need to protect the passer. And then on the flip side, defensively, we have to get pressure on the quarterback. We have to make him uncomfortable. We have to make him move his feet, and those sorts of things because he gets it out so quick. The third thing we've been talking to the kids about is we got to make them earn their points. Try to eliminate big plays, and if they're going to score, make them drive the length of the field as opposed to these one-play scores. If you look at the Colleyville game in the third quarter when they scored 35 points, a lot of that is 1 or 2 play drives, and so we've got to make them earn it if they're going to score these points. And so all those things I think are big this week, and then the last thing we've been talking to the kids about is winning in the red zone. I think that's one of the big things that helped us against the Lone Star, get the Lone Star victory is, and a lot of times in these games this late, it comes down to who can score touchdowns in the red zone and which defense can hold the other team to 0 or 3 points. And so that's what happened in the Lone Star game is we had 3 or 4 different stops in the red zone where we held them out, and it was the difference in the ball game. So, those are the things we've been talking to the kids about all week, and so that's what needs to happen to win a game.
All right.
Hey, Bo Decker. Just kind of reset things just a little bit here. I'm going to bring up the Toys for Tots. Our friends down at Shoal Creek Tavern they have a gift box there for any toys that you want to take down to Shoal Creek Tavern. Right there in Highland Village, the shops of Highland Village, you can drop off a toy right there in their restaurant and get you a lunch, dinner, cold beverage, take a break from the holiday shopping. That's always good. So thanks for those guys for stepping up and really stepping out for the kids. The what Christmas is all about. The kids, the families, and that's a great thing. So
yeah.
Hey, we do want to get into some fun. It's a time, Coach, I don't know if you've heard of this segment called the DenCoGridiron.
No.
Where you get in there, we kind of steer away from football a little bit and kind of get you on that kind of that buck and bull a little bit. And Bodecker throws you a couple, we'll use a baseball analogy, a couple little curveballs and knuckleballs, and we have a little fun with it. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. How about that? All right, Bodecker, we're in the corral.
Hey, you ready for this? You nervous?
No, I'm not nervous.
Okay. Good. I'm glad to hear. As all of our fans know by now, this is always my first question. It's something very important to me. I'm a big fan of food. How about you? Do you like food?
Love it.
Good.
You can't tell by looking at me.
Yeah. What would be your final meal if you could choose just one meal to eat as your last one on earth? I'm not saying you're on death row and you're getting your last meal in prison. Just it's going to be your last meal. What's it going to be?
Wow, that's a good one. I'm probably going to have to go back to my youth on this one. There's a place, Mexican place that we used to go to when I grew up called Mario's, and they have tacos that are unlike any other tacos I've ever had. So I think I'm going with Mario's tacos.
What kind of tacos?
They're like shredded beef tacos.
Okay.
Just stuffed. I mean, they're fat, a lot of cheese.
It's somewhere in California.
It's in California. Huntington Beach.
Huntington Beach.
And,
we'll be out there.
But I've never had another taco like it.
That sounds good.
You have to try that place, Piper. I was told actually ahead of time that I could get into a good Mexican food conversation with you.
That's debatable, I guess. Is that Gamble? Is that Gamble telling you?
Yeah. He said you love Mexican food.
Steve?
You're not supposed to release your sources, Bodecker. Come on.
Well, I'm not protecting Steve, but anyway, I grew up in San Angelo out in West Texas, where I've long contended that it is the home of the best Mexican food per capita in Texas. There's like 25 local places, and they're all excellent. There's no chains. Can't find it. Have you ever been to the Angelo Coaching Clinic by chance?
I have been to the Angelo Coaching Clinic once.
Hey, just once?
Yep.
When was that? Do you remember?
This was a long time ago. I think I was the offensive coordinator at Ryan, so it's been 14 or 15 years.
Okay. Do you happen to remember anywhere you ate in San Angelo?
I do not.
Okay, well, that's a shame. But anyway, what's your favorite Mexican plate? I mean, that's a stupid question.
Are you going to shame me? You're talking about all these local Mexican restaurants. Are you going to shame me if I throw a chain out there?
Remember, I can cut his mic off at any time, Coach.
Hey, no, that's okay. I'm what you mentioned the tacos at Mario's, but
I'm a big fan of Anamias.
Okay.
And that is a chain.
Flower Mound? It's a small chain.
When we lived in Grapevine, we used to go to the one in South Lake.
Okay.
And then I found out there was one in Flower Mound when we moved up here, so we go there every now and then.
That's a very small chain. That's acceptable. I think those are the only two, right?
It's still family owned. It's family owned.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Esparza's in downtown Grapevine.
Ooh, I used to love that place. Yeah, that's good. It used to be a funeral home.
Yeah.
Did you know that? Did you know it used to be a funeral home?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's creepy.
Anyway, trivia for you.
That's a good way to stop down the show, Bodecker.
Yeah. Golly. So, like you said, you're from California. What's the biggest difference? This is a football question. What's the biggest difference between Texas high school football and California high school football, and which is better and why?
Well, I have that question asked sometimes, believe it or not, and here's the deal. My dad was a high school football coach. My uncle was a high school football coach in Southern California. I'm from high school football coaches, blood basically, and there's a lot of great coaches in California. There's a lot of great players in California. There's a lot of great teams in California. Mm-hmm. The biggest difference is the support in Texas, the community feel, it's just supported better here. People, I don't know how to describe it, but it's the whole structure of it, the commitment to the facilities, the commitment to the coaches that have to be professional educators in order to coach and not just show up off the street.
Right.
It's just it's structured better here. There's good teams there, like I said. There's great teams here, but I mean, put it this way: I was a graduate assistant in college. My first 4 years of my career, I was at Ole Miss, and I was at SMU for a couple of years, and then I was at Pitt. When my wife and I made the decision to leave college football, we came to Texas. So,
right.
And that's not a knock on California, but it's just structured better here, and the commitment is more here.
Okay. I've had several people. None of these were Newspaper Steve. I've had several people use the words "quote unquote" laid-back dude when describing you. What's the most California thing about you? Do you surf? Do you like working out on the beach? Do you like gangster rap? Do you like punk music?
All the above, right?
Yeah.
First of all, I've lived in Texas. Let's see, how old am I? I've lived in Texas almost as long as I lived in California. So at some point, I have to become at least an honorary Texan.
No doubt about that.
You're there about 20 years from me, so I claim Texas.
23 or 24,
yeah.
but
your formidable years were spent in California.
They were, and my house that I grew up in, I could have my toes in the sand in less than 5-minute drive. I could ride my bike.
That's hard to beat. Right there.
So yes, I have surfed. When I was in high school playing high school football, we would go work out, get our stuff done in the morning, speed and strength camp, whatever, every single day, 7 to 9 a.m. At 9:30, we're at the beach all day, every day. So I love the beach, and I'm not ashamed of that at all, man.
Yeah.
So what is the most? I don't know. Laid back dude. That's probably relatively accurate, I guess.
Yeah.
I got a little fire in me every now and then, though.
I'm sure you do. What's the best city in California?
Oh, well, there's a lot of great ones. I mean, I'm partial to where I grew up in Huntington Beach, but where I went to college is up north, and San Francisco is a great town. I've spent a lot of time in Lake Tahoe, San Diego. I mean, there's a lot of good spots there.
San Diego's my favorite, and San Francisco, but San Diego probably gets a little bit of an edge. Back to football a little bit. Is there any coach, past or present, that you just really enjoy matching up against, and why? It's preferably got to be someone that you've gone up against several times, not just once, obviously. Is there one or two guys that you really enjoy going up against?
Well, I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, we had some really good games when I was in Corsicana, when we went against Ennis, when Sam Harrell was still there.
Mm-hmm.
And they had some, I wasn't the head coach. I was the coordinator. Flo was the head coach, but we had some battles with those guys too when I was the coordinator here as well. And so that was always a tremendous challenge to play Ennis and Coach Harrell and those guys, because they did a great job. But no, I mean, I don't know that I've gone against people over and over and over again that much, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh. What is Dave Henigan's favorite hobby? Like, what do you do outside of football to keep yourself sane, I guess?
Well, I've got 3 sons, and so a lot of, you try to maximize our ideal. I mean, you're gone a lot for sure during the season. And even in the off season, well, what do you do, Coach? Well, we're gone all the time. Tuesdays, Fridays, basketball, baseball, we're all over the place. And so honestly, with 3 kids and me that works all the time, my wife has a job, we're just trying to juggle all the balls, and so being around family is big and important to me. My parents are close by and live here in town. But, to get away, I like to mountain bike. I like to exercise, listen to music. That's a big hobby of Laurie and I's. We like to listen to live music and go see bands and
nice.
Just kind of
good music scene right here around it.
Yeah, there is. And so that's something we've always enjoyed, it all the way back to when we were dating. And so that kind of that's all we have time for. I know it's boring. It's a boring life, but that's all I have
it's
time
not boring.
For.
Yeah. You kind of gave me the segue. I'm going to skip down a couple of questions, but you say you're a music fan. if people still had CD changers, what would be in yours? Give me 5 bands or artists or whatever that you would have in your CD changer.
Oh, well, it kind of varies, because what I listen to now might not be what I listened to a couple years ago or what I listened to 15 years ago. But if I'm going to have one in there, it's probably going to be Dave Matthews Band.
Okay.
He's going to be in there somewhere. Probably Pearl Jam is going to be
nice.
In there.
Yes.
But then I'm also, like I said, I've been living in Texas now for a long time, and my new fave right now is Chris Stapleton. So we just saw him in concert a few weeks ago.
I saw that on Twitter. You tweeted a video of that.
Yeah. Isn't he a Kentucky boy, Bo Decker?
I'm not sure about that. He might be.
I think he's from the mountains of eastern Kentucky, but I'll verify that for you.
Yeah. Did you happen to see he actually was on Jimmy Kimmel a couple of nights ago?
Oh yeah, we were going to record that.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Him and what's the guy's name from Parks and Recreation? Chris, whatever, I can't remember. He was the guest host, and Chris Stapleton was on, and they did like a duet. They did the song from Dirty Dancing together. It was really funny. But
there's going to be Metallica in there for those days where I want to go hard.
Right. Give me one more.
Let's see here.
Chris Pratt. That's who it was.
I don't know. I can't think.
Newspaper Steve bailing us out there.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and say that those are all solid choices. Pearl Jam's awesome though, man. That's greatness right there. I've seen them a few times live, and they put on a hell of a show.
Yes, they do.
Moving on to movies a little bit. Do you have a favorite football movie?
No.
Or do you think they're all bad?
Yeah, I can't even think of a football movie that I've watched.
Friday Night Lights.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Remember the Titans?
Well, that's a good one. That is a good one.
That seems to be a go-to for a lot of coaches.
That is a good one.
Okay. Speaking of movies, how excited are you for, 10 days from now on December 16th when The Last Jedi comes out?
Oh, God.
Honestly, I'm fired up about it.
Yes.
We don't do this anymore because my oldest son's a junior and my middle son's a freshman, so they're a little too old. But when my kids were little, we own all the Star Wars, and we would watch all the Star Wars every summer.
Nice.
So I'm all about it. I want to go see it when it's in the theater. Now I'm not going to be like waiting in line with a Darth Vader mask on. But
that's what Gamble will be doing, by the way.
I'm going to see it for sure.
Yeah. If you want to get some dirt on Steve Gamble, go to the movie theater December 15th about 6:00 p.m. and he'll be in line with his Darth Vader mask. And anyway, speaking of dirt, is there any dirt you'd like to share on former Ryan head coach and your former boss, now again current boss Joey Florence?
Absolutely not.
What's your favorite?
I'm smarter than that, Adam.
Yeah.
That's my boss. I'm not going to share any dirt
Hey,
on
Coach Flo's on here. Let's hear from you. A comment from Coach Flo.
First of all, I don't think there is any dirt on Coach Flo.
You're probably right, but okay. So let me reframe. What's your favorite all time Coach Flo story? You've worked with that man in separate tenures for dozens of years. What's your favorite story about him?
My favorite story about him. I can't even go there. I don't even know. There's so many things. I can't. If you'd let me prepare for this, I might have been able to answer that, but I don't know.
Okay.
Next time. Yeah.
Next time.
All right. Fair enough.
Dodging you.
I heard from a source that you're a big travel guy. You like to go on trips.
I wish I could.
Yeah, from what you've told me so far, sounds like you may not have much time for that. But where's your favorite place you've ever been for vacation?
Well, we went on a trip a couple summers ago to Hong Kong.
Wow.
China.
Wow. Nice.
It was, we were there for like 16 or 17 days.
You going into Beijing, Shanghai?
No, we didn't. We stayed in Hong Kong and
Is that the whole family, or just you and your wife, or
the whole family?
Oh, wow.
And so that was very unique. You know, it's like New York City planted right in the middle of Hawaii with the lush jungle and the beaches and stuff. So, and the food was incredible. So that was definitely, just from a cultural standpoint, probably the best trip. And, you know, it was interesting, very interesting.
That sounds amazing. Well, you passed with flying colors. I think that's it. So, congratulations.
Yeah, you stayed on that bull pretty good, Coach.
I don't see any sweat on your brow yet. So I guess
you don't see it. You see the glare.
Bodecker wasn't quite as harsh as he normally is either. So, you know, I guess he wants you to come back on the show at some point. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, hey guys, we're kind of getting to the end. We don't have a whole lot of games to pick because as we were talking off air, Coach Denton Ryan is the only team still left in our coverage area, Bodecker, that's playing this weekend. So Bodecker is 72-23 for the season. He's a pretty good picker, Coach.
Pretty good.
He normally likes to pick against the coaches on the show, but I don't advise that tonight, Bodecker. But Lubbock Coronado, you guys are traveling out to Abilene Christian.
Yep.
Nice new stadium.
Yeah,
you know, we had J.W. Walsh actually was a guest one night, and you know, he's a position coach out there this year.
He was at Ryan today, actually.
Oh yeah, awesome. So I know they got great new facilities out there. I know you guys probably aren't excited about the travel out, but at least you got some great facilities to play at. What are your thoughts on you know, the matchup this Saturday?
Well, I mean, it's going to be a dogfight. I don't have any doubt. I mean, they're talented. We're talented. They're well coached. I think we're well coached, and so it's going to come down to, like most big games, it'll come down to who makes fewer mistakes. I mean, it's just that simple. And but our guys are up for the challenge. I mean, we know what's in front of us, and we know that those guys are coming in with a whole bunch of confidence. But our kids are confident too.
All right. Well, yeah, I can't pick against that. You know, Ryan's a 7-point favorite in this game, and I think it'll be a little bit more than that. So I'm gonna go with Ryan by a couple of scores, and your Raiders move on to the state semifinal again, where they'll either face Highland Park again or Mansfield Lake Ridge. Any thoughts on that game from anything you've seen or heard, or?
I've seen both of them in person. You know, we scouted both of them. Two really good teams. You know, Highland Park doesn't make any mistakes. I think Highland Park's better on offense this year than they were a year ago.
Probably not quite as good on defense though, and that kind of the
and Lake Ridge, boy, they really run the ball. I mean, I thought they were a passing team, but they're up tempo and running it, and you know, look real athletic on defense. So you know, it ought to be a good game as well, I would think.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we've got, man. I really appreciate you coming on, and you know, best of luck to you guys this weekend in Abilene. So.
All right. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Hey, once again, we want to thank Coach Dave Henigan for coming on. Appreciate it, Coach. And it's not often that little startup shows get these party guests, but Verse Grill and Tavern, we'd like you to take your family down there, maybe after the season's over, and enjoy lunch or dinner on us at Verse Grill and Tavern. There you go, Coach. And good luck on Saturday.
All right. Thanks.
Can I make a suggestion for what to get at Verse to you?
Absolutely.
Get the pork chop.
The pork chop?
Yes. You cannot go wrong. You will not be disappointed, I promise you.
We both had that as well. So you're on spot there, Bodecker. Good stuff.
Yeah. All right.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in. Again, share out the replay, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Have a great night.
Thank you.